In a distant galaxy light years away from our own, there was a unique solar system that harbored a magnificent and enigmatic planet called Silicis. Silicis was home to a thriving, advanced civilization known as the Silicites. Unlike life on Earth, the Silicites were silicon-based life forms, with their biology and society revolving around the fascinating properties of this abundant element. The Silicites were an intelligent and resourceful species. They had developed complex crystalline structures for their bodies, allowing them to absorb sunlight and convert it into energy through a process similar to photosynthesis. Their limbs were made of flexible, silica-based fibers, granting them incredible strength and agility. Solisis was a beautiful, otherworldly planet, with vast deserts of fine sand, towering spires of quartz, and sprawling cities built of glass and silicon. Silicite architecture was a sight to behold, combining functionality and artistry in a way that would leave even the most imaginative human architects in awe. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Silicites' biology was their respiratory system. They breathed in the planet's unique atmosphere, rich in silicon and oxygen, and exhaled fine, glass-like sand. This sand was an essential part of their ecosystem, as it fertilized the ground and helped maintain the balance of elements on the planet. The Silicite civilization had advanced rapidly, mastering the art of manipulating their abundant silicon resources. They had developed a wide range of advanced technologies, from powerful energy sources to sophisticated computing systems, all based on the unique properties of silicon. Their society was prosperous and harmonious, with each Silicite using their talents and knowledge to contribute to the greater good. The Silicites had long been aware of their carbon-based neighbors in the cosmos, having observed and studied planets such as Earth from afar. They were intrigued by the differences in biology and culture, and they marveled at the vast potential for collaboration and learning between their species. As their technology continued to advance, they began to explore the possibility of establishing contact with other civilizations. Led by their visionary leader, Prime Silicor, the Silicites embarked on a monumental project, the construction of a massive interstellar vessel designed to traverse the cosmos and forge connections with other species. They called this magnificent ship the Crystal Voyager, and it was a testament to their ingenuity and determination. Finally, after decades of research, development, and construction, the Crystal Voyager was ready to embark on its maiden voyage. A carefully selected crew of Silicite scientists, engineers, and diplomats boarded the vessel, eager to embark on this historic journey. As the Crystal Voyager set out into the vastness of space, the Silicites knew that they were taking the first steps toward a new era of understanding and cooperation. They were filled with hope and excitement, eager to share their knowledge and learn from the diverse and incredible life that awaited them among the stars. As the Crystal Voyager approached Earth, the Silicite crew eagerly prepared for first contact. They had studied human culture and history, hoping to forge a strong bond of friendship and collaboration. Little did they know that the path to understanding would be fraught with challenges they had never anticipated. The Voyager touched down on Earth, and the Silicites disembarked, extending their crystalline appendages in a gesture of peace. A delegation of world leaders and scientists had gathered to greet them, excited to learn from their otherworldly visitors. However, as the Silicites breathed Earth's atmosphere and exhaled fine, glass-like sand, the mood among the humans began to change. At first, the humans were astonished by the Silicites' unique biology, but as the sand began to accumulate, a few individuals couldn't help but make light of the situation. They started cracking jokes about how they hated sand, quoting lines from ancient Earth movies and complaining about how sand gets everywhere. The Silicites were confused and hurt by the humans' reaction. They had come to Earth in the spirit of friendship and collaboration, only to be met with mockery and trivialization of their very existence. Prime Silicor tried to steer the conversation back to the potential for shared knowledge and understanding, but the humans seemed too preoccupied with their own amusement. Disheartened, the Silicites decided to retreat to the Crystal Voyager to regroup and reassess their approach. They recognized that the humans' reaction reflected their own insecurities and fears, and they resolved not to be deterred in their mission to foster understanding and cooperation. As the Crystal Voyager drifted back into the expansive void of space, an air of dismay hung over the Silicites. They had anticipated challenges, yet the mockery they encountered was a far cry from their expectations. Earth's inhabitants had reduced the Silicites, a profound manifestation of the universe's boundless creativity, to mere sand people. In the ship's translucent conference chamber, Prime Silicor gathered his crew. The chamber, filled with a soft, radiant glow, was usually a space for intellectual discussions, filled with excitement and curiosity. But the atmosphere was different now, overcast with a tangible layer of disappointment and bewilderment. Downcast, Prime Silicor mulled over the events, the room echoing the hollow silence. The earthly laughter still rang in his ears, their faces adorned with amusement at the expense of the Silicites' dignity. The world that held so much promise was but a cradle of insolence, dismissing the profound for the superficial. Silicor stood, his crystalline form shimmering under the luminescent light. He looked around at his crew, each one a testament to the intricacy and richness of Silicite life. "They call us sand people," he began, his voice resonating through the silent chamber, each word heavy with the weight of the ordeal. A name bereft of respect, a title mocking our existence. In the silence that followed, the members exchanged glances, each echoing the other's sentiment of dismay. The air was thick with an unspoken question: what next? The Silicites were patient, but they weren't indestructible. They were beings of dignity and pride, not subjects for ridicule. Days turned into weeks, as the Silicites aboard the Crystal Voyager deliberated. They observed Earth from a distance, watching the hubris and audacity of the humans unfold. They were quick to judge, yet oblivious to their own ignorance, forever lost in the vortex of their own superiority. The last straw came when the Silicites intercepted a transmission from Earth. It was a popular broadcast where a comedian, a voice of the people, stood on stage, imitating the Silicites, throwing handfuls of sand while the audience howled with laughter. The act was grotesque, an open mockery of their existence. Prime Silicor watched, his crystalline eyes reflecting the disturbing scene. It was a moment of revelation, a moment of dreadful clarity. His heart ached at the thought, but it was clear that the humans were incapable of understanding, let alone respecting, the grandeur of their existence. He made his decision. Respect and understanding were two-way streets. The humans had chosen to bar their end, so the Silicites would respond in kind. No more were they the curious explorers, eager for mutual enlightenment. They were the affronted, the disrespected. The humans had dismissed them as sand people. Now they would understand the true power of the sand. The atmosphere aboard the Crystal Voyager shifted. The earlier air of dejection gave way to an icy resolve. Massive engines hummed back to life, their eerie glow reflecting off the crystalline structures of Solisis. From the towering spires to the smallest grains of sand, the planet vibrated with a silent promise of retribution. In the Earth's skies, a dust storm like no other began to form. For every grain of sand, a Silicite, fueled by dignity and resolve, ready to reflect back to humans the ridicule they had mindlessly thrown towards an entire civilization. The mockery that had echoed in their halls was about to reverberate tenfold, and the Earth, with its inhabitants, had no idea about the sandstorm they had unwittingly unleashed. The storm arrived not as a conqueror, but as a mirror, reflecting back the ignorance of humanity. Cities crumbled under the relentless onslaught of sand, reducing human achievements to mere grains of silica. The sand people had responded, and their message was clear. Respect begets respect. Underestimation invites retribution. As the final echoes of human civilization faded into the relentless whir of the sandstorm, Prime Silicor looked upon the Earth one last time. His heart had no joy, only deep, profound anger. For in their arrogance, the humans had lost an opportunity to learn, to grow, and in their ignorance, they had invoked their own destruction. All that remained was a world of sand, a haunting echo of a civilization that once was.
Subscribe to Quantum Dreams for more AI-generated sci-fi stories.